Minister, it's fair to say that despite a long tradition of wool produce in Ireland, the wool sector has been significantly underappreciated and undervalued in recent times. Instead of having a robust and innovative rural sector, low prices and other uncertainties and government policies have negatively impacted sheep farmers and the wool industry. I recognise the progress made with the feasibility report and the Wool Council, but what measures are you putting in place to support this sector?
Thank you, Deputy Cairns. And look, I know you are aware, despite its versatility and uses in many industry, wool prices do remain low. In order to address this issue and seek a more favourable outlook for the future of the wool industry, in March 2021 I initiated a comprehensive review of the wool industry here in Ireland. This review, which was a programme for government commitment, was to conduct a review of the potential demand for wool-based products, including insulation and fertilisers, in domestic and international markets. I set aside funding of €100,000 to carry out this review. In July 2022, this programme for government commitment was delivered with the publication of the Wool Review Report. The report was compiled independently by the Agile Executive, contained a number of findings and recommendations, including potential future funding streams, market opportunities and multiple areas for additional research and development for wool. One of the main recommendations was the establishment of an independent wool council led by industry, which would develop and promote Irish wool domestically and internationally, and bring together multiple stakeholders to foster collaboration as well as innovation and scaling activities in the wool sector. It's envisaged that this council would be a forum where stakeholders can further examine and explore the potential uses for wool identified in the Wool Feasibility Study report. In December 2022, a meeting of the stakeholders interested in forming a wool council took place. This group discussed their common aims, as well as agreeing to establish a working group to take the next steps in formally establishing the Wool Council. Officials from my department also attended this meeting to outline the criteria needed to draw down the seed funding of €30,000, which I announced in July 2022. The next meeting of the Wool Council stakeholder group is set to take place in the coming weeks, where the draft terms of reference will be presented and nominations for council officers will be sought. I believe that the establishment of the Council is a vital step that will lead to new opportunities and greater returns for this natural, sustainable product.
Deputy Cairns.
Thank you. And thank you, Minister, and I do acknowledge the progress that's been made in this area. There's a more positive outlook, but we still have a long way to go before wool can be a strong contributor to rural economies. Besides woolen products, there's considerable potential for its use in insulation, fertiliser, packing and in horticulture. Given its versatility and former abundance in Ireland, especially in the West, the current state of the sector is a clear sign, I think, of policies that aren't working. However, last year's feasibility report highlights the many challenges involved in making these potential avenues viable. Could you outline the progress that you've made and the Wool Council have made in meeting the report's short-term goals, especially around improved training and creating an apprenticeship model for the wool sector? And also, if you can, any progress made in examining the establishment of a wool testing facility and a wool hub?
Thank you, Deputy, and look, I acknowledge your acknowledgement of the progress that has been made. I suppose the Council itself has only met sort of formally once, and the next meeting now is where terms of references will be drawn up and Council members appointed. So I certainly look forward to that and to assess the progress that is being made. Indeed, you identified some of the findings of the Wool Feasibility Study to make use of wool, for including, there was a list of them from the feasibility study, including brand development for Irish-grown wool, marketing of Irish-grown wool, standards development for Irish-grown wool, determining the feasibility of establishing a wool testing facility on the island of Ireland, and certainly about establishing wool hubs. So I mean, these are still to be teased out, and I think absolutely are going to be necessary to strengthen this sector. As you say, we have come from a history of wool production here in Ireland, and it's, I think, past time, and in the climate we're in at the moment, to absolutely do what we can to support this sector and to see more wool being used. It is sustainable, it is versatile, and it is low carbon.
Thanks, Minister. Farmers and their representative organisations have recognised the importance of the Wool Council in the feasibility report. But They've also warned that this area needs to be supported and driven by the government in conjunction with them. So action on those short-term goals at this point is obviously crucial. With that in mind, could you elaborate on what measures you're putting in place to support the development of co-ops? The feasibility report stressed that there is significant merit in the co-op model as it creates some commercial scaling capacity that individual farmers can achieve, and it also facilitates more early stage processing, which gives producers greater control, and they would be best placed to develop and implement education and training opportunities as well. The medium to long-term plan involves establishing wool cooperatives. Given that this would require considerable preparation and lots of work around that, has that work already begun? And are you engaging with the current co-ops on the matter for guidance?
Thank you, Deputies. And look, and it's clear that this is an issue that raises passions in people. And look, I'm a sheep farmer myself, and I've farmed with my husband for 25 years. I know full well the challenges with trying to sell your wool, and have seen over the last decade and a half, two and a half decades, the price dropping off. So I absolutely can concur with all the concerns here. I suppose at the end of the day, the market just isn't there, and we can jump ahead of the gun, and we can establish co-ops, and we can establish all these things, but if the market isn't there, and we can have our wool presented in a certain way, but if the market isn't there, that's the piece that we have to get right. That's the piece we have to generate, that interest, either domestically or internationally, in using wool. And I think that is the difficulty. I foresee, I think it's unfair to say the government hasn't really done anything about this. We did do what we said we would do. We established the study. We put 100,000 into that. We've put aside 30,000 for seed funding for the council. I think the council are going to drive it. We do need the industry. We need the people, the stakeholders involved on board with this to establish the best possible outcomes. And just as an anecdotal, and it's not going to save the world, but there is actually a slight premium for organic wool at the moment, very small compared to non-organic wool, but there's a little shift in a slight shift in terms of the funding, but absolutely. And one final point just on the welfare, because there was 4 points there. I'm sorry, I'm trying to address everyone's. Sheep shearing is a welfare issue. First and foremost, it's about the welfare of the sheep.
Minister,
the wool is the byproduct, but we absolutely have to do what we can to secure a suitable price for it.
Next, I'll take question 12 in the name of